Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one ring, let we rule them all. Hope would remember your call. Get your Uru feathers and your Middle guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel if it will get you to come. To the pit, tank. To the pit, tank. The Rocky Mountain pit, tank.
Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.
Your 5-panel comic book splash-sized podcast.
So today we're going to be doing some interesting stuff.
We have a
We're going
couple
to be
guests
talking
here.
about cards.
Cards, not just cards. But cards for humanity, not necessarily against them anymore.
Right.
So we have a couple special guests here. We are going to have Alex and Jared from New Quest Games. New Quest is the part that I'm sure of. The games part in the end I'm not. We'll find out in a minute. And they're going to be talking about their new superhero card game called BAM! ! So let's bring them in here now onto the stage. Hey, Alex. Hey, Jared.
Hi, I'm the other Alex.
Yep,
Right.
we got two
Hello.
Alexes now.
I'm going to separate
Double
the two of
Alex.
you. There. Can't
Okay.
cross the Alexes.
How's everybody doing?
We're doing
Good.
great.
How about you guys?
We got Brent here already. Hi, Brent.
And we have our viewer, Brent. He's here.
We have our
Hi,
viewer.
Brent.
All right.
I don't know if you see the thing, but if you click on the corner, you should have like a comment section so you can see what our live viewers
Oh,
are
I'm
saying.
gonna
to us.
talk so much to Brent.
And there's also, I believe, like a little button down there to the left that says all, or you can choose the
Oh, everybody's hearing this.
yeah. They won't. They'll only see the one side of the conversation if they're not
Comment.
actually on
Connect
there.
your YouTube account to join live chat. Okay, we're working on that.
Alrighty then. So yeah,
What
we've known you
Heck did I
guys.
just do? Okay.
We've known you guys for a while.
Yeah.
At least a year.
Well, there's one of those multiples of.
And so you've been working on this for quite a while, cleaning off all the
At
shining
least
it
a
up,
year.
polishing the edges.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about. I guess first tell us a bit about New Quest.
So New Quest was started as a way to kind of bring this thing to life. I really liked your phrase "cards for humanity" because that's kind of in vibe with what we're trying to do. Was just to bring a game out into the market that hit all those TCG buttons that we all like, but didn't have some of the stuff, some of the more loopy, predatory stuff that happens with a lot of TCGs currently that we didn't like. The idea was we wanted a new quest, a new way to go about doing this sort of thing in a way that was moral and ethical, in a way that, to put it simply, we could just sit down and play the damn game. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to sit down and play a damn game with my brother and talk a little trash across the table and have a few drinks and, just enjoy what we are, what this community should be and can be, and that we, in some ways, we're the TCG community is stronger than ever, but in some ways it feels like it's less supported than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of talk from fans of the more popular TCGs, and they are a bit disheartened with the way things are going. That's
Well, and it seems to have accelerated more and more. And it just gets back to another part too is, Alex and I both are storytellers first, and we were looking for a new way to tell stories, just to kind of differentiate ourselves from the pack. And Alex is a brilliant game designer, had this great idea, and we just started rolling on things to where we're at now. We're extremely satisfied with what we made. We overshot our goals that we set 7-8 years ago when this whole thing started going. And I'm just really interested to see. We keep getting a response of shock and surprise because everybody says their game's different. Everybody says it does this different. It plays different, blah, 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 blah. Everybody says the same thing. But what's fantastic about this is when you play somebody and you get to the end of the game and they really start understanding, comprehending all the different elements and aspects to the game and how your scoring vector or your goal to win changes with every game, that it then really hits them like, oh, this is a literally new experience almost every time you play. Like, we have season 1, we have over 18,000 board states. That equals, like, with half-hour games at 8 hours a day, it's 4 years of gameplay with just the first season. And it's not like that's saying you only play the scenario once. And to reference that, every time you play Magic, not a knock against them, it's just how they're designed. Every time you play Magic, everybody has a health bar. Everybody has the same objective. Somebody needs to get to 0 health. Whoever's left with health wins. Whoever's dead is dead, and they're out of the game. And that's every Magic game. No matter what tricks you're doing, no matter what, what was the Deserts of Shahad or whatever, where it created
Charizard
boards.
Yeah.
I know that's way long time ago, but it's still essentially the same game of Magic. I'm trying to kill you before you kill me. And it's fun. It's great. It's a fantastic way to do gaming, but this was a way to do something to where it's a deserted island game. So you can literally play this on the back of an elephant. And we are theorizing new future shoots of us playing the game in ridiculous areas, which is why I'm saying that with specificity, because I don't know how it's going to happen. We found with this project, if you have intent and you just keep at it like a stubborn idiot, doesn't matter how successful you are right away, eventually your intentions will manifest and you can make stuff happen. So anyway,
Okay.
sorry.
So what it's sounding like to me is that in some way there's different win conditions that come into the game naturally.
Bingo.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, and Guy's got some of the cards that I magically dropped off at his house because
By the power of osmosis.
I may or may not have pulled out my favorite cards already.
Oh, what's your favorite?
Well, I mean,
what
these
are your
guys
what are
right
your
here.
I was gonna say, what are your favorites that you didn't make?
Oh, well, now
Right.
you've
Now
put
we're
now we're giving it a
notifications on it.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
Yeah, the basic of the game engine is built around the idea that instead of just using an offense defense, we use a three meta structure. So you've got a body, aether, mind, also known as BAM, which is how superheroes fight. You're either going to go, hey, I'm stronger than you, I'm smarter than you, or I've got more super magic wizard powers than you, right?
Speed, force, energy, whatever.
Yeah, pick a thing, right? Key, mana, right? And so in the game, you've got the different locations, and basically the idea is that in each location, you need to have different types of people to solve the problem that's there. Like if you're at St. Dr. Captain Man Super Hospital, you want the doctors, you want the smart people. If you ain't got a medical degree or an advanced science degree, you're not really contributing to fixing the problem. So you're not a great score. You're not a great fit there. So you, in some locations, you want the really smart people. In some locations, you want the big, thick boys. In some locations, boy, there's no substitute for a good old fashioned ray gun, right? And so by having those different scoring vectors, it makes it so that what is the best card in any situation can change very drastically and very wildly between different games. So you can't necessarily hyper-focus your deck and your builds. You have to build to deal with an ever-changing situation and landscape.
Which creates a ever-changing meta, which means we've spent several years just trying to bug test it because we can't.
You can't catch them all.
It takes millions,
a long time.
maybe
you
billions.
You got to theory test them. You've got to be able to pull data on them and build out those databases to really make sure that you're getting it, and that it's all working and feeling the way we want. We want you to feel super. We want you to feel smart and have those opportunities to feel clever. As you figure out what new exciting possibilities this particular board and your particular deck gives you.
Yeah, because the locations can combo
so hard to log on to YouTube so that I can just talk trash in the chat, and it's not working. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get there though before the end.
But you have the power of audio. You could just talk trash right here.
Yeah, you just
if you
Yeah,
want
but
to,
I can't look at BC Cayman and go, "Hey, how you doing?
Mhm.
You're looking great.
It's
You're a
true.
The
fantastic
B
person."
is Brent.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. He's our one viewer.
Well, we have other viewers. It's just they're not here yet. Or might not
they'll
be
get
here.
here.
No,
Okay.
it's all good.
But
Everyone
I was
needs
gonna say, if you want to email me some JPEGs, maybe I can toss some pictures up here. Of
Oh,
the
I
cards
can do
you
that.
want
I
me
can
to
also
get.
hijack your stream if you want. Ooh, you know what I can do? I got an idea.
Does it have share screen for you?
Does it?
I don't think it does, but
I can present.
I mean, I'm holding cards in my
Oh, yeah.
hand.
That's true. He's holding cards in his hand.
right. But that's gonna look great.
You're gonna look great.
Alex, do you have everything off of the
I
Gbook,
got you
right?
covered. I
Okay.
got you so covered.
You just send all the. You can send them all the web.
Well, you
cards.
you could do the present if you want to just open up the JPEG and present it.
Hold on. Can I hijack? Will it let me?
Will it?
Slides, video file, share screen. What do we got?
Are you running double screens?
Yes. Is that gonna be freaking out?
No, you got just want on one of your screens. Open up the picture you want.
Chrome would
And then
like
you
to
can
record.
specifically share the screen.
Yeah.
So I'll mention a little background here too. That gosh, it's been so long I can't even remember, but I want to say it was like 2017, 2018.
Yeah, you were one of our first playtesters.
Yeah, you brought me in and I was playtesting, and then you had this one thing where you had me and a woman whose name Becky.
Yes, Becky. Yes, ma'am.
Becky had said, and you gave us just stacks of cards and said, "Go make a deck." And I thought it was hilarious that of all the characters and cards in it, we had almost identical decks when we showed up.
Yeah.
That did happen.
Yeah, it's clearly she and I were thinking along the same lines of like, this is the way I want to play this game.
Well, and what's been fun and with the testing and everything, there's skill sets that Alex and I had when we started this venture, but a lot of the things that were necessary to be good at making a card game, we did not have. And it was really 2.5 years ago that I'd say we got to a very comfortable level, and we started going back and finding all of the cards that weren't hitting, all of the cards that weren't like, man, in this situation, I need to have at least one of these cards. In this deck, I need that card. Like we wanted to go through and we've got a saying about the game, all killer, no filler. And we wanted to be true to that. And so we literally went back through every card, every location, every leader, and we tested it. We tweaked it. We came up with new abilities. We have a new game step at the end of the game called Final Battle, where there are cards that are typically not played. Yeah, typically not played in endgame that specifically allow you to do tweaks and adjustments before scoring. And it creates a whole new end strategy for how you have cards in your hand. We had a card favorite that's been a favorite in all the conventions everywhere we've gone called the Ancient Beer Stein. But it was ridiculous to play. And the only time it would work really consistently is when people would find breaks in the game, and then, oh crap, and we got to fix the breaks, and why did it break? How did it break? What's wrong with that? And now we finally got it with this last revision, Vision 1.1, that's released. Was it last? I don't know, the 31st or something like that of August. That's what it was. Just 10, 11 days ago. We now have even Beerstein as a playable card where it has value, whether it doesn't remove from the board, but if you can dump all of the cards out of your hand before the score, it's worth 25 points. If it just scores normal, it's worth 6. So there's all these ways now to do tricks, different styles that you can play even within different leaders. It's just I don't know, man. I'm really, when people start playing it and seeing it, because we've seen the spark for years now, and now we've just been able to make it more consistent, more boombastic side eye, to take a phrase from my youngest daughter. Events that really just kind of make it fun. It's all game, no gamble. We're not going to do loot boxes. At some point in the future, we're talking about doing alternate art foil cards and doing booster packs in that way. but we're still going to hold to a strict unity on the card printing. So there's not going to be rarities like you would typically see. Our game has rarities in how unique is the ability. If it's a very unique card, if it's the only card in the set that does this thing, then it's a mythic. If it's, a common, then it's going to be, an emblem with basically no color in it. All the emblems look the same, and then the set emblems will change as we do more sets. But we just, it's crazy how many ideas that we were like, no, I think we can get it to work, and then just worked and worked and worked, and then it's been polishing everything for the past 2 years, and now it's just we're ready for people to enjoy it.
I'm going to add the screen that Alex has here. Backstage here.
I've got it, and then I like Guy's screen that he's got going on over there too.
Yeah, we'll hop over there then in a moment.
The other thing we found out is because it is different, we needed really good training documentation or a start guide. And so that was the other thing in the last year, that we developed a really solid quick start guide. And then the box also gives the instruction from the moment you open the box. It gives you step-by-step instruction with the quick start guide and teaches you exactly how to play your first game.
Yeah, ease of play is such a thing that I find a lot of games don't quite hit right. And if it takes too much for someone to sit down and grasp a game, there's just some people, a guy who will just not ever want to play.
Right, you're just gonna glaze over. But I got to give Guy credit to my favorite card.
This one's just so stupidly funny. I love it. Right into the volcano. Okay.
But yeah, we've got 20 different artists here. So if all this looks different, that's by design. People doing traditional watercolors, people doing manga style with Guy there. Guy, you're familiar with Pepper, right? He did this one for us.
That's Pepper.
That's Pepper.
Is the dog the
I'm noticing Raph in here too.
Yeah, Raph's in here. He's got a couple. We've got a couple from another local artist. This is Leighton. So yeah, we wanted to look like a comic book company that's been around for a while, and we figured the best way to do that is to get comic book artists that have been around for a while.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a bit about stop on one of the cards and tell us a bit about what's happening on that card?
Sure.
Game mechanics.
Let's pick. Carnifal's picking up his super suit. Miss Babbitt. Let's find someone that. Okay. No, I'm gonna put Jared on blast here.
Yep, Jared.
This is one of the first cards. This one and Cupid. And we'll get to Cupid. That we did, and we talked a little bit about story being a big thing, and these characters exist in a super world. They exist with superpowers, and the world's gonna be weird under those circumstances. And so fairly early on, because a lot of these characters got named by us literally rolling dice and picking words out of the dictionary and going, that sounds like a superhero. What would that superhero be like? And other random thoughts that came through our head. Triceratops is one of our first ones. And we're like, okay, if you're a supervillain, and Triceratops are big animals, right? So that's going to take a lot of food. How do you feed something that big in the modern world, especially if you're a villain? So this is a villain
also,
or a salad green.
Yeah, also they're herbivores.
Yeah. So he's just crushing some garbanzo beans and just really having a great time, but breaking and entering is a sign of a villain. This is Mr.
Wait. Buddy, I think they wanted to talk about gameplay.
Yeah, what's the two little heads at the top, the number 2 and the D20?
Excellent. Okay, so with us, we do an integrated economy. So as you play more cards, you get more economy, just period. In this case, so the 2 little triangles up top, those are your support, because it takes logistics and manpower. Superman doesn't just fly in and be punching people through buildings. You got to have cleanup crews. You got to have people to do this stuff. So your little guys are going to help out ground support. The big symbol, the big number underneath it is the rank. That's how much support that guy takes to put out into the field. The flag, the emblem there, this is a villain, so he's got a red flag. This is a split flag. We'll talk about him later on. This is a gadget. This is one of the guy's other ones.
I like that plane though.
It's a good plane. And then the box underneath it, that is your, so the pink is your body, and then you have your aether and your mind. Those are what you're using to compete or score points. Some cards like Call Sign don't have any abilities, but but they have very good stat blocks. Other cards, as we get further up into the set, are there's Night Lady. Give me someone with an ability. There we go. The red button. We just finished this card. Where it doesn't necessarily have as good of stats, but it's got a special ability. In this case, it's got a mythic ability that's going to let you look at the top cards and get rid of a few off of there. We use a lot of informative design. So like this has that green kind of goopy looking box, which means that it works very similar to how this green goopy looking box works. So you can identify that stuff very quickly from across the table. Hey, I've never seen that card before, but I know it's got a green box, which means it's going to try to take cards off of my deck. That's its general purpose. This one is going to try to get rid of cards. You're going to drop cards from your hand at random.
So basically, the different things. I could put it in kind of Magic terms, which Magic doesn't do this, but Magic uses keywords. You're basically coloring and symboling what the keywords are, so you can spot them much faster.
And having the keywords and definitions on top of it. So however it is that you process that information quickly, it's there for you. That's what we wanted. Jared, you had something, I think, somewhere along.
Yeah. Can you do a mouse scroll on your computer, and will it show while you're showing your screen?
I don't know.
Because that way, when you're talking about support or ability box or the rank or the BAM.
Oh,
there
I
you
can.
are.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So can you go over the points again so that
Sure. So this is a rank 3, so it's going to give 1 support once it's out into the field. That's the cost to put it out into the field right there. This is its faction, so our version of color, which is villain. So hero, anti-hero, villain, professional, event, and gadgets. So you got to have a good super gadget, right? Batman's not much without his belt. So like Dr. Jealousy here is a rank 3, so she's going to give 1 support when she's out in play. She's a professional. So when we talk about professionals, we actually have basically an alignment chart of a hero is doing, how do we put this? It's actually, Guy's got it on his rule book there, of they are acting in the best interest of society. Hero is going to be acting in the best interest of society and on society's authority. They are authorized to do work. People are like, yay, heroes, do it, great. A professional is also acting in the best interest of society, or a professional is acting in many ways their own best interest. I'm here to get paid, but the job I am doing is authorized by society. So this is a person working in a prison as a prison psychologist working with villains, and this is a little back shot of Triceratops after he got caught for knocking over some garbanzo beans. And then moving down here. So that is your body. So she's a 3 body, which is middling, a 4 aether, and a 5.
Scale goes from 1 to 11 for reference.
I was just about to ask that.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get up there. And then she's got this is one of those visual designs here where she has her ability is intended to either make you draw cards or drop cards. Particularly the ability name is called FOMO. Every time your rival, aka not you, draws a card, you draw a card. Every time they drop a card, you drop a card. She gets very fun, especially when you start getting multiple players and you start getting people really throwing powers around the table like they mean it.
So this brings me to a question that I don't know if this is like future plans for you guys or not. So have you thought about team play yet, which would mean the rivals wouldn't kick in for that character if your ally's doing something?
So we know we can do 4-hand skirmish, which is a short form. We know we can do 4-hand war, which is a long form game, and we have done team battles before. It's just a little bit of logistics questions of the smartest way to do it. Because everyone's kind of playing into the same teams. Is like, are we 4 separate teams, but 2 of us are trying to accomplish the same goal, or are we all one big team? Sort of
the only recommendation you have to have for team play is to make sure that you're sleeving different color or different image sleeves on your deck versus who you're playing with.
Right, because the team all be going on the same side of the area they're trying to take over.
And it's mostly just to sort the cards out at the end. It's not necessarily an in-game thing. It's a quality of life thing afterward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're always trying to think about. I just want to play. I don't want to set up forever. There's games that you take a while to set up, and that's great, and those are great. But that's not most of the time what I want to play, and so that's we always try and keep that in mind with the design of it.
Well, sometimes you only got 20 minutes.
With me too.
Exactly.
The more complicated, the more difficult, and that I don't want to, and the more I don't want to mess with it.
Mm-hmm.
If it takes too long to get into it, you may only have like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
If it takes you 15 minutes to set up,
yeah, we're already halfway done, guys. This way. All right. Yeah.
The combat drone with the Dyson blades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, dude.
That's totally what I designed him as.
Got a lot of stuff in here. Yukon was always fun. Schrodinger's cat is a fan favorite. She's an anti-hero now. So she is going to be operating for the best interests of society, but not authorized by anybody. She is doing it because it's the right thing. She is a vigilante functionally.
So when she's in your deck box, you don't know whether she's alive or dead.
That's true. And that's why, like there were thoughts about what her ability should be and ways we can play with it and play into it.
She's, I think, going to be getting kind of, I'm getting the feeling of a Squirrel Girl arc where there's just this power.
She's on our season 2 upgrade list where she'll rank up a little bit because she's got a little bit more experience to her. She'll get a different ability. Have these stories continue on because, like, as I'm flipping through these, you're going to see a lot of recurring characters. You're going to see a lot of like 1-2 shots of like a comic panel because that's what this was built to be. Is to be a comic book card game more than anything. Palette Swap's interesting because he's literally one of the champions that we'll get to later on. Just a little desaturated and messed with on the color because the part of the character arc is that he is colorblind. He's a shapeshifter and can imitate powers, but he's got a little bit of colorblind, so his costumes just aren't quite right.
Cool. Well, I do have a question I want to get to, but first we're right at our midpoint of our show. I'm going to back us out of this for one moment so we can we'll come right back to that. But first, we have to make sure we mention these guys.
Right. Geek Tank is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, and Your Mom. But it's also now sponsored by Do Gooder Games, which has just opened up at oh, come on. I just lost the address.
Come on. You can do it. I believe in you.
No, I don't believe in me because it's an address loss. It's actually up in Brighton. So it's really cool. But they just opened up their little cafe and a gaming.
Yeah. Thornton, apparently.
Are they
comments?
So when I hop into our Patreon thing, they're in there?
Yep.
Sweet. I had no idea they were going to be doing that. So yeah, Do Gooder Games. We offer
Do Gooder
premium
Games
selection of.
I would change it, but apparently I'm not logged in. So there's that.
So we offer a premium selection of tabletop, board, card, miniature, and role-playing games. Enjoy delicious food and handcrafted coffee drinks and a comfortable ... That's as far as I got. Okay, it's at 16639 Washington Street, Thornton.
Yep, Thornton.
So yep.
So 160th and Thornton.
Welcome to
160th and Wadsworth.
Welcome to the crazy circus, guys.
Washington.
All right,
thanks, Do Gooder Games.
Yeah, thank you. And
maybe if you go up there, you'll see Bam.
Yeah, that's the goal someday, right? Trying to get through kind of this section.
So I was going to ask. Go ahead, Guy.
No. The trajectory is we're a team of two. Bless you. We're a team of two, and so we're having to build this without taking excessive amounts of debt on, and we're doing print on demand to build it up, and with the target of hitting a certain threshold to where we're able to offer it retail. And so that's a trajectory. We've already talked to some shops last year. Well, frankly, for the last like 3 years, we've been talking to different shops and
Yeah,
locations.
we were fairly lined up before COVID hit, and then
Yeah,
a
Things
lot
got
of
weird.
shops didn't make it, which sucked.
yeah.
That really hurt the community.
Well, just the whole everything. Everybody knows.
So I was
But
going
I
to ask
also
about.
would like
season-
to point out that
Yeah.
you guys have been consistently really good about paying your artists and
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
rewarding your artists. That's like been a big deal with you guys,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
I cannot say is true of a lot of places. So I really want to just say thanks for that, because like
It probably helps that one of the two main people is an artist.
Yeah.
right, that
I-
usually is a thing. Yes, but I mean,
I've eaten condiments because that's all I had to eat. So I don't ever want I don't want ever to cause anybody to be that to have that much fun with food insecurity. So
Right.
if we are contracting for it, it's because we already have the funds to pay for the work.
You
right?
should only ever eat condiments
You've
for
been really
fun,
good.
not for poverty.
Yeah.
Use your hand if you
Mustard?
snorted sriracha. No.
After like
All
3,
right,
4
fine.
spoons of mustard and some crackers, it's just I don't know.
Mhm.
Mustard's different.
Start questioning your life choices.
No, I know
got
exactly
answers.
what
This ain't a
happened.
question
It
no
wasn't
more.
my fault that I didn't. It's people don't pay their debts on time. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that happens.
I was going to ask you about season 1 and 2 because you brought that up. How is when you go from season 1 to 2? How will season 2 set be able to still incorporate season 1, if at all?
Sure. So the game engine is going to be the same. So
Easily.
everything.
Wait, can I say the short answer first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
Completely.
nice. So you're not going to be like, oh, we're in season 2. You can't use season 1 anymore.
No. We're not doing any of that set rotation. We're not doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's also why we've been trying to in a more analytical and data driven level game test and fix all the breaks and understand how far we can push the game, because we're hoping to, I mean, most games want this, but we really don't want to have to restrict or ban any cards in the future.
Right.
So we're really just trying to make it to where if we've made it, you'll be able to play for, I don't know, at some point after like 3 years of content, there's going to be, what is it, Alex? Are we in the million board
yeah, we'll hit
states at
million.
that point?
We'll
Like
hit
the game will quickly get to a point to where you would have to live multiple lifetimes to play all the board states. Not play them more than once. Just you won't live long enough to play all the board states after like 3 or 4 years. So yeah, we're coming at the card game thing a whole different way. You can buy a pack for $30. There's 3 different packs for season 1, and each one lets you play 2 players of our skirmish game, which is the shorter format where you're playing for 1 location. And then if you want, you can play war, which you just take and you can mash up 1 of 2 potential decks for any of the 3 boxes, and you have a war deck. And then you 2 play a game of war, and that's where you're playing for 3 different locations. And that's it. And we've got new game types that will be coming out. And so this isn't a game where at no point were we trying to compete directly against Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And this Lorcana and all these other games. Like, because a part of that, and we both played Magic. I think every one of us here has played. I played Magic, I think, with everybody here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you've played Magic with all of us.
And so it's not anything.
That's most of you, yeah.
It's not anything like boo Magic. It's just like I kind of felt like I hit the end of the road with it. Like I like the new marketing stuff and the Doctor Who and the Godzilla and all these different things. That's
I've got a
cool.
bunch of Transformers.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? That's great. They should have done it earlier.
But as far as like gameplay, like
Nothing's changed.
it's the same game. It's the same experience. Like you can't really. Which it's great. It's worked for a long time, but we wanted to make something different.
I mean, sometimes there's a real benefit to being the same experience. I mean,
There's a reason Fast
nostalgia.
and Furious is on 10 iterations.
Yeah.
It
Although
works.
I will say that Fast and Furious 1 is nothing like Fast and Furious 10.
I mean, it'd be an interesting thing to take someone who'd never seen the series, play those two back to back without giving them any context, and go, you just watched the same movie.
Yep. Like the same actors, but not the same movie.
I've got a question for you. I've got a question for you. You were saying that like each one of these characters, like you were talking about Schrodinger's cat, becoming a level 2 character, so to speak, or whatever.
Yeah. Going up.
Will that make it so that it's useless to play first season Schrodinger's cat?
No, because, and this is a great question, and I love it, and you're mildly locked up, and I like your face. But
those two things are unrelated.
Yeah. Right. So because Schrodinger's cat's a rank 3, so she's going to come out fairly early in the game. Where when we start leveling her up to rank 5 or something like that, we give her a little bit more oomph. She comes out later in the game and fills a different role. Like right now, her role in the game, because she is, this is a great quote, might as well talk about it. It's so fast. She's early. Where is she at? Right now,
you went too far.
I've shot right by it. But I gotta call out Connor up in Fort Collins territory for this absolutely gorgeous piece.
Here, let me jump in real quick. Sure. So the way the cards work is that they're situational in their value. And so depending upon the location combinations or the leader combinations or how you've built your deck or the tricks that you're trying to pull off at that moment in time, what the meta is going to be different all the time, even within the same deck. And that it also goes to how you build the decks too, because we're still trying to test some theories. We don't know if having a commander style deck where you still only have 20 card decks for skirmish, 40 card decks for war. The numbers never change. It's part of how the game is balanced. And so you have those deck sizes, but what can change is what's in them. And then I forgot where I was going with this. Anyway, so what I was saying is, so depending on what situation you are in, the card that you may only use 1 out of 3 times might be the hot ticket for that situation, or it might not. And so us having different versions of these characters, like Schrodinger's cat, you could say right now, her power is more manifested literally. Yeah. In the future, it'll be manifested more theoretically. Yeah. All right. To where she's manipulating the background essence of reality, like changing light and sound waves, manipulating matter and energy and all that other stuff. There's all kinds of ways you can go with the narratives. So, and that's the other thing. And that's how we're able to kind of have that all killer, no filler thing, is because it's situational to what the board state is.
Have you thought about whether season 2 Schrodinger's cat can be in play by the same player as season 1, or would you have to pull one of them off the table to play the other?
No, you can play multiple of the same cards onto the table. It's not like a Legends rule. Okay. There are limits of three of the same named card in a deck.
Okay.
So eventually you may have to switch, whether you're going with her, more of a rookie form where she's acting as a fetch, where she's trying to pull cards out of your deck, like specific cards, to now she's going to like her elevated form where she's maybe doing something where she's swapping places with someone in retirement. So they fill different forms.
So are you saying that this is not her final form?
This is not her final form. No. I look forward to what we end up, like what her story ends up being, especially as I started playing around with that more, and had the chance to actually write out the lore. This is something I'm very proud of. We get these back-to-back cards, so you get Smash and then his buddy Grab, and if you put them next to each other, you get a big piece instead of just the 2 little cards. So linked art's always fun.
The other thing, do you guys want us to talk a little bit about how to set up the game, the specifics? Because a lot of what we've been talking about is without reference. And one of the things that we found is that, does everybody remember the movie Blast from the Past?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
So this guy, there's a plane that crashes on top of this house, and the house just so happens to belong to a professor that's all about doomsday prepping, and this takes place in like the 50s or something like that. And they get buried underground for 30-40 years, whatever. There's an automatic lock on the door. They can't get out until it goes out, but they've got supplies for decades. All right. And anyway, it's showing scenes throughout the movie about this guy trying to teach his son about baseball. All right. His son was born in the basement. He's never been out. He's never seen anything. He's never seen a baseball game, I don't think. It's just listened to it. And he's having a hard time understanding how the game works. And it shows him when he finally gets up on the surface watching a game and jumping up an exclamation, I see, you just had to see it to understand it. And we've been finding that with this game. We played with we showed this game to a gentleman named Doyle. He played a little bit in the tournament levels with Magic, and played a quick game with Alex before we sat down for the conversation. And he was doing all these different tricks. He was on it. He understood how to do all the manipulations. It took a little bit to get what was a legal play or not, with having support to justify your rank and all of that. But at the end of the game, he felt pretty confident. And Alex went and did the breakdown with him of how the game scored, and he had a blast. He did all of these things, but what he forgot to focus on is that the location that was in play needed the best, what was it, mind score?
Mind. Yep.
And Alex had completely obliterated him on that score, and therefore won the game.
Cards like that have.
And then he flipped the table and punched Alex, right?
Yeah.
No,
you
could just see it in Doyle's eyes, like, okay. Now, you guys are actually different. Yeah. This is actually something different.
We're not like a deck builder. It's an actual
like I don't know exactly how to describe it, but yes, I'm interested in the game. This is, I don't even know what to put. I don't know how to put my finger on it yet.
There's a good one to refer back to color shift or
palette swap.
Yeah.
And Mr. Amazing. Which is fun because like when I'm building decks, and I'll flip through it real quick and go, Mr. Amazing's not in this deck. Ah, crap! It's palette swap. No,
he got you again.
He wins.
So he's, but yeah, because Mr. Amazing, he doesn't do anything when we have cards that don't have abilities. They're just thick. Remember, max score is 11, an 11.99. I can literally tell you in our. So it's 105 playable cards, and then you've got your leaders and locations. We should talk about leaders. But there's only 4 or 5 cards in the whole set that can actually square up on him. So when you talk about like different strategies, having just the thickest boys out there is a legitimate strategy on how you can play. So you don't always just have to go for tricks. You can go for points.
And the way that happens is because those scores are so high. Another player it's going to be difficult for them to play something with a higher stat to where they're able to beat one of those BAM scores to be able to deploy into that location. That's what he means by the points just being a wall.
This guy. Let's talk. Yeah, exactly. And let's talk about locations, because that's really kind of part of the sauce that makes this work. Make sense? So in Super Scrap, the story is that it's the superhero junkyard, right? It's where all that stuff gets put to and run ragged. So at the end of the game, you want the team with the best total Aether score. But throughout it, if you happen to have gadgets in your retirement, your discard, you can play them out of it like your hand because they're already there, man. And that can contrast to now something like any good superhero fight, you got to have a fight at a volcano. It's just the rules, right? So it's going to score on body, but if you ever get beat by double or more when people are playing cards out on you, you get kicked in the volcano and retired. So different locations are going to really, really change how things play out. And that's actually something
there's 3 locations per game, if I remember correctly, or did that change?
For long form, yep, 3 locations. For short form, 1. Short form's about 10 to 20 minutes, if that. Long form's about 30 to 40. And once again, all this kind of bakes into it. St. Dr. Captain Man Super Hospital. First series is based out of Denver, so you see a lot of mountains and you see a lot of the city skyline
Denver
and
things.
Yep, Denver-esque things because, well, we write with where we know. Soul investments where you can sell your soul to the devil and get extra points. All good stuff. PNN, I always enjoy. The Psychic News Network, because if it's a super world, you're telling me there's not actual psychics working for the news and varying other places? Of course.
And the weathermen are still wrong.
And they're still wrong. And then we just get a lot of this was just us wanting to have a little fun because what's Super TSA look like? You know, do they make you empty your pockets? So yeah, like that's kind of the basics of it. Oh, one other thing actually. There's one critical thing that we haven't talked about. Oh shit, I was about to exit it out of it entirely. Part of the other sauce that makes this all work.
Leaders.
Let's do Prince.
Not the metric system kind.
Yeah. I think these are going to come up sideways. So that's okay. These came up sideways, but locations didn't. That's fine. But leaders are who you are in the game. And
Go to web.
Oh, that's why, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jared, you're so smart. This is why we keep you.
That's why you don't have to eat condiments anymore.
Yeah. So now we get smash and grab in their
Only
leader
for
form
fun.
when they're together. Yeah. And they get an ability that says every time they win with body, you draw a card. So if you are that card drawing gremlin, these are your boys, you know? This, no, that way. Yeah. I think. And this is once again, you get people showing back up as leaders that were in the set. So the story continues on kind of throughout the whole thing.
So it's been a while since I've played, so I don't know if this has changed, but you choose one leader, and that's your leader throughout that game, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
We do have, there are plans for dual-sided leaders where they rotate every round, or they have a trigger that causes them to rotate, and then each side would have a different effect. With us and how we've done things, it'll probably be a stack effect that resets and causes the turn back over or something. I don't know. We'll have to figure, because everything. The other thing too is everything is a dual-edged sword.
Yep.
The more power it gives you, the weaker it is somewhere. You've got some kind of weakness that'll allow for, like, some of the larger rank 6, rank 7 cards that have an ability will have such a low stat that you might be able to play a board wipe where you wouldn't normally because it's too far late in the game. And that's where you start getting into all of these. You don't really know who's going to win until it's scored at the end.
I have a question about what I'm looking at right now.
Sure.
I don't know if you have this type of ability on anybody yet or not, but do you have an ability on a character that says you may go through your deck and place whatever card you want on top?
I'll one up you.
Well,
Professor Paranormal has an ability called Sleight of Hand. It's based on our ability tree called Transmute, which is where you're going to take something and then pull it out of your deck of equal and lesser value. So he's going to gamble the top card and then use that to be able to go hunting in his deck for whatever he wants. Really good for if you like that big hand advantage. You can really try to stack your deck. You can really try to stack your hand out because we don't have a hand limit. He's a little like his big problem that you run into is if someone is trying to, if you're trying to use effects that are fueled from your deck, Door Girl, General Panic, Ancient Ritual, stuff like that. He's not great with that, but boy, oh boy, can he get cards in his hand that he needs when he wants them. Other than, and you actually, if you watch our current video that's up, we'll do an update on it here shortly. For our how to play, like one of our second one, I'm using Professor Paranormal, and literally the first turn, I gambled and lost one of my champions. So.
Well, I was mainly asking because the one character said you can draw from your retirement pile as though it was your deck. So I was wondering if you could use that manipulation to get the card that you want on top of your retirement deck in order to draw it.
So you would need to use a manipulation like this. Oracle lets you set decks and retired, so your top four. So you'd play an Oracle, set your retired, and then next turn, if you were playing as Licorice Whip, you can draw that card up.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
That's what I figured.
And that's part of the loops and the different, I call them their combo trees functionally that I know that I've put together of like different things that I know can cascade into each other. And that's where the fun starts to happen, is when you really start to learn how to like chain abilities together and get really maximize those turns and feel really good and clever in those turns, because you get to do, like you said, I know I need that card out of my deck. Let me drop this Oracle, prime my retirement, boom, now I can pull it up, and suddenly I'm feeling like I've done something very intelligent, very smart, and I've really been efficient in my usage.
Yeah, it's finding out those synergies. I'm going to drop this backstage since we're coming up on our last like 10 minutes
Absolutely.
here. So do you still have a version of this available for people to play on Tabletop Simulator?
It's a very old version that we haven't done much updating with yet. And that's not by accident. Part of what we figured out during the pandemic, when we did really try to push towards that, is this game was designed to be played face to face, to be played human to human. And as good as Tabletop Simulator is, as good as these interactions, like these web meetings are, I don't know, it's just not quite the same for us. And so we wanted to focus on that experience and to really try to do our best to do that to the, as far up as we can, so that when eventually we do go back into the digital side, we do eventually get back into that. We know what we're aiming for, and we know what we want and how we can do that experience in that environment. It's kind of part of our phase 2, phase 3 scenario, but as of right now, it is still up there. The general idea of it is still correct. There's a lot of updates you'll see, because it's 2020.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I thought we weren't doing that update anymore for Tabletop.
Oh, I'm not. I haven't updated it yet.
Okay.
I won't update it for years,
so,
probably.
Here's another part of the equation. In the current economy, to make a digital game like that is going to require some methods of capitalism that I'm not down with. Alex, check me if I'm wrong. Alex isn't really down with. And so
games and things like that.
In the way the current state of things and how the digital economies work for card games, it's almost like it's the anti of what we're trying to develop. Like, we're not doing card chase. This is a game that you buy and you play. This is not a game you collect. This is not a game you card chase. You just buy it and play it. And
although I'm just saying, you could collect the cards that I drew. I would sign that.
You could all day long.
Here's the thing. If you really want to do it right, you find the artist, you get them to sign that card, and you really have that good human experience.
Or if there's enough demand for it, we'll print more backguard blanks to where it's the back card of the game, and then you could commission an artist at whatever convention they're going to be at. Because that's the other thing too, is we want to support the artistic community by helping everybody have work. Like, have paying work, find ways to have revenue streams for them. There's only so much money that's going to ever make anybody happy. And so if we can get this going good enough, we want to try and like all boats rise situation as much as we can. And I don't know. Yeah. That's just other stuff. And so when we're talking about the digital card game, like, we have very real world data to know about how much money it takes and how many years it takes to do a proper digital release. And it's more money than I would want to throw at a digital card game.
My main interest was it would be a way for someone to get to test the game and get to if they couldn't make it to a convention or to try it out. So even if you went back and just only did 2 20-card decks, so a person could play and go, I like the feel of this game, I want to invest in it now, as opposed to taking a gamble and buying it and not knowing if they're going to like it.
They could also watch this episode of Geek Tank,
which doesn't really show you if you're going to like the game or not.
True.
But
we probably should do another episode of Geek Tank.
but
our playlist. And additionally, we kind of got into a situation, which I'm not going to go into any at all, that's related to that Tabletop Simulator. And so without having a large amount of finance to invest in a legal team, we're not really interested in pursuing digital at this time.
Okay.
It also works.
Yeah, there's what's that online thing that they're using for live play camera stuff that you were telling me about,
Oh, yeah.
Alex, for Magic, where you put the camera down on the cards. Athena? No,
I've never messed with it much, though. Is my big thing, but I've seen people doing it.
Yeah, it's just you like have a each player has their own camera at their screen.
You take your webcam and you go like this.
Yeah. I thought there was like a name for what they're using for that, but
I don't know.
That might be a way to go instead of the digital aspect, because then people could play the creators of the game and go, "Oh, this is cool."
That's right.
That's why we're going to do more play nights and conventions next year.
Nice. Too bad you don't know anybody that does a board game room in any convention.
I know, weird.
I know.
They're hard to find. I think, but I think we'll get it.
Currently, right now, real quick, because I know we're coming to the end.
Yeah.
We are literally working on the new website for BAM. We already have one deck that's available to buy on Game Crafter. It's the very first product. It's 100% complete. It's the Rock Salt and Professor Paranormal deck. It's a great intro deck into the game. And then I'm working to finish up artwork on the last 2 cards for the second deck. And then there's 2 more cards I'm finishing up on the third deck. We're going to have everything wrapped up by about the end of October or earlier, if I can get, because some of these cards are pretty far along. They've been in progress for a while, but I had to do some other stuff, some other graphic work. So, but yeah, that's where we're at right now. It's thegamecrafter.com. What are we? BAM CBG? Is that how it's?
Yep.
But anyway, just to kind of, I know we're getting to the end here.
Yeah, cool. Where can people find you? I know you have a thing on Facebook.
You can find us on Facebook, which is just BAM CBG on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're getting onto TikTok. And then BAMCBG.com will be coming online here shortly, since we get it to a point that we're happy with.
48 hours, 72 hours, or you can go to earthtau.com.
With our original. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate you. Hey, Guy, did you ever find your favorite card that's not yours?
They're all over there now.
Yeah,
no, but I had an idea though, so I sketched out the idea.
Oh, good.
I'll mail it to you or something.
Yeah, that's fine. We always we have a big thing about running downhill. Like, while the inspiration has you, get it done. Go now. It's way easier to do it right now than to I'll come back to it. You're never going to come back to it.
Oh, and just for a little more insight, we did hire some artists from Argentina, and wasn't Carlos from Colombia? So we're going to eventually go global, but we're trying to get voices from all over the world, visually and narratively, with some story work that we've been developing for a bit. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, Jared and Alex, if you want to stick around for after the credits, you can hang out and talk with Alex and myself. Guy's got to run off and do his own thing.
I got to go do my own show.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's my own show.
Yeah.
You might see when I'm sketching, because I've been thinking this out, and I might just keep going with it.
There you go.
Run downhill, man.
Yeah, run downhill. Totally what I'm going to do.
Yep.
But unfortunately, that's all the time the Geek Tank has for today.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here with us, you guys. And thank you for joining us also over there, Brent.
Yeah.
And we had him here too. But that's all the time we've got for today. So I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And I've been Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.